Welcome, everyone, to Putts and Pints presented by The Foresight at theforesight.com. I am your host, Colin O'Brien. It's been a long time. I got sick for a little while. It's great to be back. It's Sunday afternoon while I'm recording this. I'm watching the WGC, the Cadillac, at the Doral Blue Monster. Today's brew is from Tuckahoe Brewing, a nice local brewery to me. It is their Irish Red offering. It is fantastic, by the way, if you can get your hands on it. It depends on how close you are to southern New Jersey. But Tuckahoe Brewing's Irish Red. Cheers, everybody. Let's get going. All right, so it's been a long time. A few things have happened, some tournaments, all that sort of fun stuff. But I want to start with Tiger Woods and his leave of absence. Hold on one second. I'm being joined by my cohort here, Bogey, my dog. Yes, Bogey as in not quite par. So Tiger is the story all the time, regardless, and even when he's not playing. In this situation, that's exactly the case. So he takes a leave of absence, citing that his game was not in shape and he's not playing well enough to be competitive and all that sort of stuff. And that was true as far as like he wasn't going to make any cuts, and he shot the worst round of his professional career out at Phoenix. There's two reactions to this. The first is actually what happens. There's part of me that feels bad for him on this, and then there's a part of me that doesn't feel bad for him at all. And the part that I feel bad about, I'll start with that, is the accusation, of being suspended. I don't know exactly who the broadcaster was. That said they had a very credible source that said that Tiger Woods was actually serving out a suspension, and that's why he was taking the quote-unquote leave of absence. That was later retracted, and the broadcaster admitted, whoever it was that he got this from was dead wrong, and the tour denied everything. Tiger's camp obviously denied everything associated with a leave of absence. And so it's a tough thing when you're struggling, you're having to take some time to kind of gather yourself. And then on top of it, you're Tiger Woods, so everything that you do is so scrutinized to the point of these false accusations being made. So in that part, I feel bad for him. The part that I don't feel bad for him, or the part that actually I don't understand about this leave of absence to get his game together, is he'd spent all that time getting his game together, and he said everything felt great, blah, 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 coming into his tournament, that Hero World Challenge. Obviously, he had the short game issues, and then he goes out and he has another minor setback with the injury again. His short game gets even worse by the time he gets to Phoenix and shoots that 82. And then he said, he goes to Torrey Pines where he's obviously comfortable. He won there not last year but the year before, and has won, I don't know what it is, 8 or 9 times there total, including that US Open at Torrey Pines. He's 11 holes in, cites an injury, walks off the course, and then this announcement comes out that he's taking a leave of absence because his game is just not up to snuff. My personal opinion on it, and the part about it that I don't feel bad for him for, I'm actually going to be accusatory on him for this, is that I think it's a pretty cowardly move. To be perfectly honest, you're not willing to go out there, take your lumps, get your game in shape. It's like, if you can't make a cut, you can't play golf, and so you can't deal with it. as opposed to however many of the other tour pros. I know you're Tiger Woods. I know you've got 14 majors. I know all that stuff. The records that you've set, that from 1997 to basically 2008, you're untouchable. The move to the reasoning behind it is pretty childish. Actually, it's kind of it's almost like he's absorbed into the video game that's got his namesake. Like if things aren't going well, he wants to just be able to hit the reset button. It's like, oh, I'd love a do-over on that, and that he doesn't get one. He's like, I'm going to go work on my game until I sort this out and can compete at a level. And it's like, you're not playing competitive golf if you're not playing competitive golf. I'm sorry. So you're wasting your time. And you're basically ducking missing cuts, or at least, you don't think you can make a cut, and that's maybe even the worst of it for him as far as his mindset right now is that he doesn't even think he can make a cut if he's going to take himself out of this. It's like everybody told you, and I think they're right, that you needed more reps. Your tour game isn't going to get any better by chipping balls in your backyard and trying to sort out your short game and trying to make putts with no, on a practice green all the time or in practice rounds. All of that is leading me to believe that it's just like you just can't handle not being in contention, and that's never going to work for him, though, as far as trying to get back. It's like, like, what am I going to do? If I'm not in contention, I'm going to quit and I'll see you next week. And then from there, if I'm playing well, then okay, great. I might win the tournament and then, I'll play the following week. And if I'm not in contention again, I'm going to quit midway through. This is how the pattern is looking. It's like, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt on a whole lot of those injury withdrawals that he had in the past couple of years, and it just seems like so many of these now, especially this last one at Torrey Pines, it's like, okay, you had a tweak in the back and all that, and I understand back problems more than most people might know. I've had a 20-year-old injury in my back. My back just goes out every now and again. I understand. I get it. There's also just way too many times that you were, before the tweak happened, that Tiger was 2, 3, 4 over par through the front 9 at most, and all of a sudden he's hurt. And it was like, oh, well, it happened on the second hole or what. I don't know. I don't want to speculate as to how that goes about, when it came about, the injury, and that forced him to withdraw. But this last one, he withdrew, then comes out and says his game isn't in shape and he's going to take a hiatus. And it had nothing to do with the injury. It was more just because his game sucked. I don't know what to say about that. Like, you almost just admitted, like, yeah, I walked off the course because I was a couple over par again, and at a course where I should be dominating, and I used to dominate at. So I'm looking at the tour schedule for the rest leading up to the Masters, and you've got the Valspar Championship, the Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill, the Texas Open, and the Houston Open. The Bay Hill, surprisingly enough, I'm going to call that one as on March 19th, March 19th through the 22nd, all of a sudden Tiger's going to feel like his game is back in shape again, and he's going to give it a shot at the Bay Hill Championship. I don't know what else to say about it, because it's like he's won there 5 or 6 times. He's going to give it another go there, and then we'll see what happens. Does he play 12 holes and then walk off because he's 5 over par? I don't know. And say he's hurt again, and I'll see you at the Masters. That's how I see this shaping up right now. So I'm not a fan of what's going on. You get out there and you take, if you're not hurt, which he said it had nothing to do with the injury. If you're not hurt, you get out there, you take your lumps. At least even if you're missing cuts, at least you're getting out there for 2 rounds of competitive golf, and you'll start to get a rhythm back. Rory missed the cut last week at the Honda, and there's this big 2015 debut on the PGA Tour, making his Masters run and all that sort of stuff. Coming off a win 3 weeks prior in Dubai, and he misses a cut, and he didn't say anything about it. He didn't do anything about it. He just said, I didn't play well. Okay, and he's the number 1 player in the world. Tiger, you are no longer the number 1 player in the world. You're not even close. Nick Faldo had it right a couple of years ago. I don't usually agree with Nick Faldo a ton. He had it right a couple of years ago. He said, you're just one of the best players in the world now. Tiger is just one of the best. That's it. And he's moving out of that category now. I mean, he's getting to. I posed a question to Mike Greenberg on the Mike and Mike show. I tweeted at him. Nothing ever came of it, but I tweeted at him. I said, which happens first? And I'll pose the question to however many of you are out there actually listening to this. Which happens first? Does Tiger Woods move outside of the top 100 in the world golf rankings or win a tournament? Major or regular, it doesn't matter. That's where I see this going. It's like it's going to be, he's either going to have to right the ship awfully soon. Otherwise, he's gonna fall outside of the top 100, and maybe by a mile. I just don't know. So that's my shtick on Tiger and his apparent leave of absence. I have a sip of beer here, and we'll get going on the next topic. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Ryder Cup captains were picked, but more specifically, I want to talk about the U.S. task force that was put together for the Ryder Cup team to try and get them a win. The last time they won one was 2008, and it's been well documented. We all know that the Europeans have dominated this essentially since the U.S. has 2 wins since 1999 and 2008. That's it. And the Europeans have walked away with the rest of them. The huge comeback in 2012, the miracle at Medina. That one was a squeaker because they had what they had to do, but it's pretty much not been in question the rest of the time. So the U.S., the PGA gets together and decides they need to develop a task force. This is a total joke, and I'm going to tell you why it's a total joke. There's 2 things that are keeping the Americans from winning. The first is not so much as important, but they seem to think it is, or the PGA that is seems to think that it's this important. But the captains have relied way too much on successes that pairings had in Ryder Cups past. It's a really bad idea. Why did Paul Azinger win in 2008? Why did his captaincy work out? Not to put too fine a point on it, he had 3 Hicks, basically, in Hickville, in Kentucky. He had Kenny Perry, he had J.B. Holmes, he had Boo Weekley. And he had them all in a place where they felt comfortable. He had them all playing well. He got them all playing well at that time. He happened to have that. I mean, it's Kenny Perry's last hurrah. He skipped the British Open, remember, to play the U.S. Tour event that goes on during the British Open and earn a whole lot more points to guarantee his spot on that team so that he could play in his home state of Kentucky. The pairings look at him, though, the ones that worked, things like Mickelson and Anthony Kim. I mean, Anthony Kim, we all know, has fallen off the face of the earth. But the idea is that this was not something that had been tried before. And he put him out there and it was working. He gets stuff out of... Azinger ends up getting results out of his pairing moves and all that sort of stuff. And then you have